Hi everyone, bonjour. The IB Crocodile is here. Let's have a look at this question here from past papers questions from math analysis and approaches. Paper 1, November 2022, number 1. So let's see what we have here. Let f of x equal negative 2x plus 3 for x belongs to the set of real numbers. Part A of the question, the graph of a linear function g is parallel to the graph of f and passes through the origin. Find an expression for g of x. So one question I always ask myself in function questions, what type of function do we have? Okay, so obviously the type of function or the degree of the function is the highest power of x. You always look at the highest power of x in f of x, so then you locate right where am I, you know, what are you talking about? Is it linear function? Is it quadratic? Is it polynomial? Is it non-polynomial? This is very important question before even tackling any function question. Obviously here the highest power here is 1, so that means this is a linear function that is expressed by a straight line. And if you remember the general form of a straight line function, y equal mx plus c, right, where m here is the slope and c is the y-intercept. So one way to find the equation of a linear function is by finding the slope and 1 point on the line. So g of x is also linear function, right? So it's going to be x to the power of 1, like first degree. And then what do we have here? The g is parallel to the graph of f, which means what? Which means they have the same gradient. So I can say, okay, so if m of the g, okay, let me talk about the g here. So it's okay, talk about the g function here, the g of x, right? Now it has the slope equal the slope of f, which is -2, right? And then we have also a point passes through the point of origin, which is 0 and 0. So we have a point 0 and 0. So then we can find the equation of g of x. There are a couple of ways of doing this. We can say we can start with y equal mx plus c, right? And then put m here as -2, and then substitute by the point to find the c, the y-intercept. Okay, so we have here when x equals 0, y was 0, so implies the constant is 0, right? I mean, passes through the origin, obviously, even by imagining there is no y-intercept. Okay, so g of x at the end of the day is going to be -2x. And that is part A. Now, part B, the graph of linear function h, so another function, and that is linear, or that is straight line, is perpendicular to the graph of f. Okay, so now remember for h of x, if the slope of the perpendicular, you know, compared to another line is going to be, you flip the slope and change the sign. Okay, or in other words, the product of the two slopes m1 times m2 equal -1, where m1 is perpendicular to m2. So the product of the two gradients of two perpendicular lines always has to be -1. And that's why I said, okay, you just flip it and change the sign. So here the slope or the gradient for f is -2. So the slope of h is going to be 1/2 without the negative, because I changed the sign and I flipped the 2, so it's going to be 1/2. Okay, so then also we have a point for function h, right? So we can apply the same. So we can say y equal mx plus c, or y is equal to -2 x, right, plus c, sorry, not -2, now is going to be 1/2, right, the slope of h now. And then you apply with the point, So when x was -1, y is 2. So 2 is equal to 1/2 times -1 plus c, and then we can find the constant here or the y-intercept. Okay, so you can just do some manipulation here. So we have, so that implies that c is going to be 2.5, right, or 2.5, because you can just bring this -1/2 to the other side with positive sign. So it's going to be 2.1/2 or 2.5 or 5/2, whatever, all works. So you can now say, okay, so h of x, as a function is going to be 1/2 times x plus 2.5. That's totally fine. If you keep it decimal is fine. 2.5, and that is the function of h, 3 marks. Now the last request here in this question here is part C, find g of h of 0. Okay, so that is a composite function. It reads g of h, or g circle h, or that means h into g. So what I would do, I would first find g of h of x first, like find an expression for that. Okay, and then plug in, whatever the value that we need for x. So let's see. So we have g of x here, this function here, -2x, and we have h of x, this whole expression here. So when we say here g of h, that means h into g. That means what? That means we are going to replace each x in g by the whole expression of h. Okay, so that will be -2, and instead of x, I'm going to put, okay, 1/2 x plus 2.5, right? And that is equal to -x, right? I mean, 2 times half is basically 1, but still I have negative outside. And then negative times positive is going to be negative. 2 times 2.5 is going to be 5. So then, okay, so this is the expression of g of h of x. So then you can say, okay, we need g of h of 0. So meaning you plug here x as 0. So when you put x here as 0, right, so you end up with -5. So, and that is the final answer. Okay, so thanks for watching, and have a nice day.